History remembers certain places because they witnessed extraordinary events. Others are remembered because they were never meant to be seen at all. Far from the bright lights of America's cities, hidden among the barren mountains and dry lake beds of southern Nevada, lies a place that has captured the world's imagination for generations. Its name is Area 51. For decades, this remote military installation has been surrounded by mystery. It has inspired stories of alien spacecraft, secret experiments, unidentified flying objects, and government cover-ups. Books have been written about it. Hollywood has turned it into legend. Millions of people know its name. Yet remarkably few know why it was actually built. The greatest mystery surrounding Area 51 may not be what happened behind its fences. It may be how a place created to protect military secrets became one of the most famous locations on Earth. This is not a story about extraterrestrial visitors. It is a story about people. Visionary engineers who challenged the limits of technology. Test pilots who willingly climbed into aircraft unlike anything the world had ever seen. Intelligence officers who believed that a single photograph could prevent a global catastrophe. And political leaders forced to make impossible decisions during one of history's most dangerous rivalries. The Cold War was more than a competition between two superpowers. It was a race for knowledge. A race where discovering an enemy's next move could determine the fate of millions. Winning that race demanded aircraft capable of flying higher than anyone believed possible. Aircraft that required absolute secrecy. Aircraft that needed a place where they could be designed, tested, and perfected beyond the eyes of the world. That place would become Area 51. But the silence surrounding those revolutionary machines created something no government had planned. The less the public knew, the more the imagination took over. Rumors became stories, stories became myths, and myths became legends. Today, Area 51 is recognized across the globe, not because people witnessed what happened there, but because, for decades, they were left to wonder. To uncover the truth, we must return to the beginning, to a world divided by ideology, overshadowed by nuclear weapons, and driven by fear. Because the story of Area 51 does not begin with aliens. It begins with the Cold War. To understand why Area 51 was created, we must first understand the world that demanded its existence. The year was 1945. The Second World War had finally come to an end. Cities lay in ruins. Millions had lost their lives. Yet instead of lasting peace, the world entered a new and uncertain era. The United States and the Soviet Union emerged as the two dominant global powers. Although they had fought on the same side during the war, their political systems, military ambitions, and visions for the future were fundamentally different. Neither side wanted another world war, yet neither side trusted the other. This growing rivalry became known as the Cold War. Unlike previous conflicts, the Cold War was rarely fought through direct battles between the two superpowers. Instead, it became a struggle of intelligence, technology, diplomacy, espionage, and nuclear deterrence. Every military development mattered. Every scientific breakthrough carried strategic value. And every unanswered question could become a national security threat. American intelligence agencies faced an enormous problem. Very little reliable information was coming out of the Soviet Union. Military installations were hidden. Missile programs were secret. Nuclear research was heavily protected. Even estimating the size of the Soviet bomber fleet often depended on incomplete intelligence. Making decisions based on assumptions was dangerous. A single mistake could change the balance of power. At that time, satellites capable of photographing Earth from orbit did not yet exist. Reconnaissance aircraft offered the only practical way to observe military activity deep inside Soviet territory. But existing aircraft were too slow, too vulnerable, too easy to intercept. If the United States wanted reliable intelligence, it needed something the world had never seen before. An aircraft capable of flying higher than enemy fighters, higher than anti-aircraft guns, higher than anyone believed practical. Creating such an aircraft would require entirely new engineering, new materials, new engines, new cameras, new flight techniques, and above all, complete secrecy. Because if the Soviet Union discovered what America was building before it was ready, years of research and billions of dollars could be placed at risk. The aircraft would be revolutionary. Its development site would have to be equally extraordinary. Government officials began searching for a location so remote that experimental aircraft could fly without attracting attention. A place hidden by distance, protected by geography, and forgotten by almost everyone. Their search would lead them to an isolated dry lake in the Nevada desert, a place called Groom Lake. It was here that one of the most secret chapters in aviation history would quietly begin. In the spring of 1955, officials from the Central Intelligence Agency and Lockheed's legendary Skunk Works began searching for a place unlike any other. They needed a location where experimental aircraft could be built, tested, and flown without attracting attention from the public or foreign intelligence agencies. The search led them deep into the Nevada desert. There, surrounded by mountain ranges and hundreds of kilometers from major cities, lay Groom Lake. At first glance, it appeared almost lifeless. A vast, dry lake bed stretched across the valley, its hard, flat surface shimmering beneath the desert sun. But to experienced pilots and engineers, Groom Lake looked less like an empty wasteland and more like the perfect natural runway. The surrounding mountains acted as a barrier against unwanted observation. The desert offered clear flying weather for much of the year, and the nearest towns were far enough away that very few people would ever witness what happened there. The decision was made. Construction began almost immediately. Roads were improved, temporary buildings appeared, fuel storage, maintenance facilities, communication equipment, and living quarters were assembled with remarkable speed. Nothing about the base was designed for comfort. Summer temperatures climbed above 40 degrees Celsius. Powerful desert winds carried dust through every building. The first personnel often worked long hours in harsh conditions, sleeping in simple trailers and temporary barracks. Yet almost everyone involved understood the importance of the mission. They were not building another military airfield. They were creating a laboratory for the future of aviation. The aircraft waiting inside those hangars was unlike anything that had flown before. Known as the U-2, it had been designed under the leadership of Clarence Kelly Johnson, one of the most influential aerospace engineers in history. Its long, slender wings resembled those of a glider rather than a military aircraft. Every kilogram of unnecessary weight had been eliminated. Its powerful engine was designed to carry the aircraft beyond 70,000 feet, where the air became so thin that the difference between flying too fast and too slow could be measured by only a few kilometers per hour. Pilots called this narrow operating range the coffin corner. Flying there demanded extraordinary precision. To survive at those altitudes, pilots wore pressure suits similar to those later used by astronauts. Every flight tested not only the aircraft, but also the limits of human endurance. As the first successful test flights lifted from Groom Lake, it became clear that this isolated desert base had already begun changing aviation history. But its greatest achievements still lay ahead. As testing continued at Groom Lake, the U-2 rapidly proved that it was unlike any reconnaissance aircraft the world had ever seen. Within months, the impossible had become reality. The aircraft could climb above 70,000 feet, cruising in air so thin that the sky above it appeared almost black. From those extraordinary altitudes, its cameras captured images with remarkable clarity. Airfields, missile sites, factories, radar installations, entire military complexes that had remained hidden for years suddenly became visible through the lens of a single aircraft. For American intelligence analysts, each roll of photographic film arriving from a mission represented far more than pictures. It represented knowledge. And during the Cold War, knowledge had become one of the most valuable strategic weapons in existence. The U-2 provided leaders with information that could not be gathered through diplomacy, newspapers, or traditional espionage. It revealed where the Soviet Union was building new military infrastructure. It monitored missile development. It helped intelligence agencies replace dangerous assumptions with measurable evidence. Several long-standing fears were reassessed because of the information these missions provided. The aircraft had become an eye in the sky, one capable of looking behind the Iron Curtain. Yet every successful mission created a new challenge. Although Soviet fighter aircraft struggled to reach the U-2's operating altitude, radar operators could often detect its presence. Engineers on both sides of the Cold War were locked in a relentless race. As reconnaissance aircraft improved, air defenses improved. As air defenses improved, aircraft designers searched for new solutions. Innovation and counter-innovation became an endless cycle. Then, on the 1st of May, 1960, that cycle reached a dramatic turning point. During a reconnaissance mission deep inside Soviet airspace, a U-2 piloted by Francis Gary Powers was struck by a Soviet surface-to-air missile. The aircraft broke apart at high altitude. Powers survived by parachuting to the ground, where he was immediately captured. The incident triggered an international political crisis. Initially, the United States announced that a weather research aircraft had gone missing, but that explanation quickly collapsed. The Soviet government revealed that both the pilot and large portions of the aircraft had been recovered. The evidence was impossible to deny. For the world, the U-2 incident exposed the risks of aerial espionage. For the engineers at Area 51, it delivered an equally important message. Flying higher was no longer enough. The next generation of reconnaissance aircraft would need to be faster than interception itself. And that challenge would inspire one of the most extraordinary aircraft ever built. The loss of the U-2 did not end America's reconnaissance program. It transformed it. The challenge facing engineers was no longer simply to fly higher than enemy defenses. They now had to create an aircraft capable of outrunning them. Once again, the responsibility fell to Lockheed's Skunk Works. Led by the brilliant aerospace engineer Clarence Kelly Johnson, the team accepted what many considered an impossible assignment: design an aircraft that could cruise above 80,000 feet, travel at more than 3 times the speed of sound, remain controllable under extreme temperatures, and survive missions that no previous aircraft could complete. The result was the A-12. At first glance, it looked like something from the future. Its sleek black fuselage, sharply swept wings, and distinctive twin-engine nacelles gave it an appearance unlike any aircraft that had flown before. But its true revolution lay beneath the surface. Flying faster than Mach 3 created an engineering problem that ordinary aircraft never faced. Air friction generated enormous heat. During sustained high-speed flight, parts of the aircraft became hot enough to expand several centimeters. Conventional aluminum could not survive these temperatures. Engineers turned instead to titanium, a material that was exceptionally strong, lightweight, and difficult to manufacture. Producing the aircraft required new construction techniques, new machining methods, and an entirely new understanding of high-speed flight. Even the fuel system reflected this extraordinary engineering. While sitting on the ground, small gaps intentionally remained between sections of the aircraft structure. Fuel slowly leaked through these joints before takeoff. To an observer, the aircraft appeared defective. In reality, it had been designed exactly that way. Only after accelerating to extreme speeds did the heat cause the metal to expand, sealing the aircraft as intended. Every detail served a purpose. Every compromise supported performance. The first A-12 took to the skies above Area 51 in 1962. Its test flights pushed both pilots and engineers into territory that had never been explored. Every mission generated new data. Every landing revealed another problem to solve. The aircraft continued to evolve. That evolution ultimately produced an even more capable successor, the SR-71 Blackbird. Although closely related to the A-12, the Blackbird incorporated numerous refinements that improved range, reliability, and operational flexibility. It would become one of the most remarkable aircraft ever placed into operational service. Capable of cruising at more than Mach 3 while operating at altitudes exceeding 80,000 feet, it remained beyond the practical reach of most interceptors. Pilots often recalled watching the sky gradually darken as they climbed, with the curvature of the Earth becoming visible beyond the horizon. For decades, no operational aircraft matched its unique combination of speed, altitude, and endurance. The world admired the Blackbird, but inside Area 51, engineers were already confronting the next challenge.
Let's check the torso laces.
Radar technology was improving faster than ever
hose
before.
Is secure.
Perhaps the future of aviation would not belong to the fastest aircraft. Perhaps it would belong to aircraft that enemy radar could barely see at all. By the early 1970s, military planners faced a new reality. Aircraft had become faster. Engines had become more powerful. Pilots had reached the edge of Earth's atmosphere. Yet radar technology continued to improve. Every breakthrough in aviation was eventually matched by a breakthrough in detection. The question was no longer how fast an aircraft could fly. It was whether it could avoid being detected in the first place. This idea became the foundation of one of the greatest revolutions in military aviation: stealth. Contrary to popular belief, stealth does not make an aircraft invisible. Instead, it makes the aircraft far more difficult for radar systems to detect, track, and identify. Engineers discovered that the shape of an aircraft could dramatically influence how radar waves reflected back toward their source. Instead of smooth curves that scattered signals in every direction, carefully designed flat surfaces and sharp angles redirected much of the radar energy away from the receiver. Combined with specialized radar-absorbing materials, these designs significantly reduced an aircraft's radar signature. Turning those theories into operational aircraft required years of experimentation. Once again, many of those experiments took place behind the guarded fences of Area 51. The aircraft being tested looked unlike anything the public had seen before: sharp edges, unusual angles, dark silhouettes. From a distance, especially at night, these experimental designs appeared unfamiliar, even to experienced pilots. At the same time, Area 51 itself remained officially unacknowledged. Residents living near the Nevada Test and Training Range occasionally reported strange lights crossing the desert sky. Commercial airline crews sometimes observed unusual aircraft operating at extreme altitudes. Military personnel spoke very little about what they had witnessed. In the absence of official information, speculation grew rapidly. Some observers believed they had seen secret military aircraft. Others became convinced they had witnessed technology that could not have originated on Earth. One of the most influential moments came in 1989, when Bob Lazar publicly claimed that he had worked at a nearby facility known as S4, where, according to his account, recovered extraterrestrial spacecraft were being studied and reverse-engineered. His story spread quickly through television, newspapers, and later the internet. For many people, it became inseparable from the legend of Area 51. To this day, Lazar's claims remain the subject of intense debate. Supporters argue that his descriptions contained remarkable details. Critics point to the absence of independently verifiable evidence supporting many of his central assertions. Whatever conclusion one reaches, there is little doubt about one fact. His interviews transformed Area 51 from a relatively obscure military installation into a worldwide cultural phenomenon. Ironically, while the public imagined alien technology hidden inside enormous hangars, engineers at Area 51 were achieving something equally extraordinary. They were quietly redefining the future of military aviation. The greatest secret was never simply what happened inside the base. It was how decades of silence allowed imagination to become more famous than history itself. For nearly 60 years, the United States government officially refused to acknowledge that Area 51 even existed. Although aviation historians, journalists, and satellite imagery had long pointed to Groom Lake as a major flight testing facility, official confirmation remained absent. Then, in 2013, that changed. As part of a Freedom of Information Act request, the Central Intelligence Agency released historical documents describing the development of the U-2 and A-12 reconnaissance programs. For the first time, official records openly identified Area 51 and confirmed its central role in testing some of America's most advanced Cold War aircraft. To many people, the announcement seemed like the end of one of history's greatest mysteries. In reality, it answered only part of the story. The documents revealed where some remarkable aircraft had been developed. They did not reveal everything that had happened there, nor were they intended to. Area 51 remains an active military installation. Large sections of its work are still classified. The surrounding airspace continues to be among the most heavily restricted anywhere in the United States. What aircraft are currently being tested? What technologies are under development? And what projects may shape the next generation of aviation? Those questions remain unanswered in the public record. That uncertainty should not be surprising. History has repeatedly shown that revolutionary military technologies often remain hidden until long after they have entered operational service. The U-2 was once secret. The A-12 was once secret. The SR-71 was once secret. Stealth aircraft were once secret. Each generation reminds us that today's classified projects often become tomorrow's aviation history. Yet perhaps the greatest lesson of Area 51 has nothing to do with aircraft. It has everything to do with people. Human beings are naturally curious. When information is unavailable, the mind searches for explanations. Sometimes those explanations are accurate. Sometimes they are imaginative. And sometimes the stories become more influential than the facts themselves. Area 51 became more than a military base. It became a symbol of secrecy, of technological ambition, of unanswered questions, and of humanity's endless fascination with the unknown. Ironically, while millions searched the skies for evidence of visitors from another world, one of the greatest achievements unfolding inside the base was entirely human. Engineers solved problems that many believed were impossible. Pilots flew aircraft beyond the accepted limits of aviation. Scientists transformed ideas that existed only on drawing boards into machines that reshaped military history. Perhaps that is the real legacy of Area 51. Not that it convinced the world to believe in extraordinary mysteries, but that it demonstrated what ordinary people can accomplish when extraordinary innovation is protected by extraordinary secrecy. The myths made Area 51 famous. The history made it remarkable. And somewhere beyond the mountains of the Nevada desert, behind fences that still guard one of the world's most secret airfields, the next chapter of aviation history may already be taking shape.